Most people think that weight loss and fat loss are the same thing, but that could not be further from the truth. If you're chasing a smaller number on the scale, you're actually missing the bigger picture and probably sabotaging your progress. So let's break this down with a clear comparison of weight loss versus fat loss. First, let me say, I get why this belief exists. Everywhere we look, we're constantly told to measure our progress by the scale. And I remember falling into this trap too, where you get up, you step on the scale, and it literally dictates how you feel that day. If the scale went down, then you feel great about yourself. I'm making progress. Everything that I'm doing is working. And if the scale stays the same, you kind of feel a little defeated, like, why didn't it work? And if the scale goes up, oh my gosh, God forbid it goes up, then you actually feel worse, even if maybe you felt really lean before you actually stepped on the scale. So we've all been there. But here's the thing, the scale doesn't tell you the full story. So let's take a closer look at what the scale is actually telling you. So when you wake up in the morning and step on the scale and the scale went down, did you lose fat? Maybe. But the thing about that is that you could also be losing muscle, and you could also be losing water weight. You could also be losing bone density. So that's the reason why weight loss can often leave you feeling frustrated, but also weaker than you were when you started. And a lot of people don't realize this when they're only focused on weight loss. They don't understand why, okay, I've lost the weight, but I don't necessarily look the way that I thought that I would look. Or they get so worn out because of the way that they're eating that they're just too exhausted to keep going. However, when you're focused on fat loss, you're more focused on body composition, the way that your body looks, like what your body is literally composed of: fat, muscle, bone, water, the things that we were just talking about. So when you're focusing on fat loss, you're actually either building or preserving your muscle mass while you're losing fat. That is the key, because most of the time when we look in the mirror or when we decide to go on a weight loss journey, it's more of the body fat that we're concerned with than that total weight. The weight we've just learned to associate with it, and so we think that they are one and the same. So when you actually take a fat loss approach, it keeps your metabolism high, it delivers the same visible results that you're thinking about, but the results are also longer lasting. When you're focused on just weight loss, not so much. It actually can damage your metabolism, and typically you regain the weight and that body fat percentage amount goes up. So take a look at the comparison that I'm going to show you guys in this chart here, and you'll see that weight loss is all about the number on the scale. It's even if you're losing muscle mass, even if it means slowing down your metabolism, it's just about getting the number to go down at all costs. Fat loss, on the other hand, is going to prioritize how you look, how you feel, while also preserving the muscle mass, lowering the fat, losing inches. So you're not just feeling better and looking better, but you're also boosting your metabolism, or at the very least keeping it where it is, whereas a lot of that is going to go by the wayside if you're just going the weight loss route. So, but another example of this is I was recently working with a client, my client Crystal. Hey girl, hey, if you're watching this, she did give me permission to share her story, but this was the same situation. She was just absolutely fixated on the scale. And the thing is when she first came to me, she was eating less and less, and she was doing tons of cardio, and she was a mom of 3. So she's like, okay, eventually, it feels like all of my time is going to be dedicated to this. I can't eat the things that my family's eating. My workouts are getting longer and longer, and my results are getting worse and worse. So even though she had initially had some success with this, so she wasn't just dumb for doing it. She was doing it because in the beginning it worked to help her to get off that first 20 pounds. So to her, she's like, I've lost some weight, but I can't really tell. I kind of look the same, but also I'm flatlining here. So the things aren't working. So she felt like she looked, the same, even though she was kind of getting the gratification from looking at the scale, but she also felt a little bit softer in the way that her body composition was. And she was saying that was something that she was noticing was happening after each child when she would go to lose the baby weight again. So one of the things that we did was we shifted her focus to fat loss. When we did that, everything changed. She was eating more. So by focusing on eating more and making sure that a lot of that was protein, she was eating more protein, lifting weights. We're tracking her body composition, not just her weight on the scale. Like, we're still monitoring the scale weight, especially in between her DEXA scans. But that's what we were focused on, is we have her use her DEXA scans, which monitors her bone density, the amount of water weight that she has, the amount of muscle mass that she has, and the amount of fat mass that she has. So we're monitoring that. We're also looking at, her inches. She's taking measurements. So during this time period, once we switched to fat loss, the body fat was dropping clearly by the DEXA scans. Her inches were dropping clearly by the measurements that she was taking. Her pictures, you could tell that her body composition was changing. You could tell the shape of her body was changing. And her clothes were fitting better, even though the scale was barely moving. So if we were not tracking all of these other things, how strong she felt, looking at what the DEXA scans were saying, looking at how her clothes were fitting, looking at the pictures, looking at the DEXA, looking at the measurements, then we wouldn't have known that. She would have just felt that defeat of stepping on the scale day after day after day with it hardly moving. So that is just another example of how that tends to look when you're on the fat loss route. So even though it may not look the same as weight loss, you're getting better results. Now, eventually, once we got past kind of that body recomp stage, the scale did start to move more and more and more. But the best part about it was that she was seeing the results long before the scale showed it. And by the time the scale reflected what we saw, even when it was just a minuscule amount of movement, she still looked so much better. People were like, oh my gosh, how much weight did you lose? And she was like, not that much. So that's one of the things that I see time and again when people take the fat loss versus weight loss route. So, when you're switching those focus, you want to do the exact same things that I did with Crystal. You want to make sure that you're tracking the right metrics. If you are only stepping on the scale, it's not giving you the full picture and you may misjudge what you need to do next. So use body measurements, use photos, look at how your clothes fit. Do not rely solely on the scale. And if you have the capabilities, the access, a DEXA scan or some type of body composition scan next to you, then use that as another tool, which will really help to give you the bigger picture of what's happening beneath the skin and not on the scale. The second thing would be to prioritize strength training. If you build muscle, or at the very least maintain the muscle mass you have, that's going to boost, or at least level out your metabolism and keep it nice and high while reshaping your body. And the third thing would be to eat enough to fuel your body. So focus on balanced meals here. So you want to eat enough, but we also want to eat enough of the right types of food. Make sure you're getting enough protein, make sure you're getting enough fiber, which means you can't omit all of your carbs. And you also need some carbs, you need some fat. So you really want to balance things out while making sure that you're eating enough for your goals. So when you have those things in place, that is going to support your fat loss journey. Obviously, you're more than welcome to keep chasing a number on the scale and feeling stuck or feeling frustrated. But if you want actual results, focus on fat loss, focus on feeling stronger so that you can finally see the changes that you're working so hard for. So if you are a woman over the age of 40 and you're looking to learn how to shift your focus from the weight loss mentality to the fat loss mentality and actually make the most of your efforts, I highly recommend downloading my free guide for fat loss for women over 40. I will include that link in the description, or you can click wherever I posted it in the video and get started right away. If you have any questions, then post them below in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.